The following program is brought to you by the Internet Broadcasting Organization.
It's Wednesday night, so listen up, because it's time for Gay Guy Straight Girl, where candid advice about love and life meet our hilarious, straightforward personality at www.gayguystraightgirl.com.
All right, it is Wednesday night, and you know what time it is. It is Gay Guy Straight Girl. Of course, just in case you've never seen my show again, I am Mr. JoJo, and to my left, my co-host,
Danny DIB.
All right, so today's topic, nice and juicy. But before that, let's go ahead and give our shout-outs. I do have two special shout-outs today. I have a shout-out for Dejea and Shannon, both two people that I work with. Again, I want to give a shout-out to all my followers, friends, family back home, especially all those who keep supporting us every single Wednesday at 8:30. Always so excited about that. Any shout outs?
And I do. I got to give a special shout out to my coworkers who I work with: Brooke, Steven, Sean, Vanessa. They keep me going during the week, and we talk about our topics every week, so it gives me a lot of juicy information to work with.
Awesome.
Always, so.
Awesome. Well,
shout out to you guys.
That is great. Well, first things first, let's thank the nominations.
Oh, the Talkie Awards.
The Talkie Awards were Friday, guys. It was a great experience.
It was amazing.
I've been posting pictures up. I know I have to get a few more things up.
We have to get them more going because there was a lot more going on.
There's a lot more going on. There's been so much going on, getting prepped for the show, doing all these things, but I'm going to have them all done by this weekend. But again,
for those who didn't know what we were nominated for,
we were actually
the Talkie
nominated.
Awards is the first annual
Talkie
Awards.
Here in Tampa.
And we were nominated for Best Relationship Show and then
Best Lifestyle Show. So we were nominated for both of those. In excitement. I was so excited to come find out that I was actually had two nominations. And I would have to honestly say, and we are both honored to say
so
that we are actually the 2014 Tampa Regional Talkie Awards for Best Relationship Show.
Yeah.
Give me 5. That was so exciting. When we got called up, guys, you know what I mean? Of course, we all want it. You know what I mean? That's the thing. I wanted it. I so desperately wanted it. But I went there with just the best attitude, no expectations. I'm going to go here. I'm going to support. I know this was I just came back last month. So I was like, the fact that I was nominated was exciting itself. So now the fact that I actually got the award for 2014 Talkie Award for Best Relationship Talk Show.
It was a proud moment.
It was a very proud moment. I will be posting up the video of the nonsense that I said during the talkie.
We were not prepared. I was a deer in headlights, which was the funniest thing.
I tell you, it was. I watched the video again. It's not long. It's about a minute, maybe a little bit longer. And it's a mess.
You watched it? I haven't even watched it. I'm so embarrassed. I was a deer in headlights. I was like, I'm not talking. I was so shy, which is not me at all.
It's not. And that's what happens. Is I am the most blunt, outgoing, speak my mind person. And when my name was called, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm prepared. I'm seeing all these people go up there and, speaking very educated and, knowing what to say. And
thanking everyone.
And then I'm like, okay, I don't have a speech, but I'm ready. Let me go for it. And when I got up there, I don't remember anything.
And what did I say to you? I was like, actually, Joe, if it happens, you just do all the talking.
Just do all the talking.
I'm too nervous. I can't. And I got up there and I was like a deer in headlights. Like it was the funniest thing.
Amazing, though. Such a great experience.
It was fun.
I had so much fun. The people who truly loved me were the people who were there supporting. So I do want to also say thank you to those.
But it was amazing to see the whole organization. And everyone who's involved in putting it together and making it grow and just become something more that is going to put Tampa on the map.
Tampa is going to be on the map for online radio, guaranteed. And at this point, like Alex said it's not, take the word online. I have a radio show. It doesn't matter whether it be online, whether it be over the wave. It doesn't matter. I have a radio show, a talk radio show.
Exactly.
So happy. I feel so honored.
And we're reaching people, talking to people.
Of course.
And it was just a very humbling.
Good, humbling.
Experience.
It was a humbling experience. We
Yeah,
got to
it
sit
was.
right in the front row. The experience was great.
Yeah, it
so
was.
again, I'm so happy to all my fans, listeners, supporters,
here's our
and this is the
award.
wonderful trophy award that we received.
That we're very proud to
I'm
present.
very, very proud to actually be the owner. We are
Right.
very proud to be the owner of this
Right.
award here. It's amazing. The experience was great. Everything was great. So tune on to our website. Tune in. Well, we're working
Right.
on that, but tune on to our Facebook page.
Facebook
There are plenty of pictures there already. We'll be adding more.
More,
It's
yeah,
exciting.
we're adding more.
I was completely honored. It was
Yeah.
such a great
It
experience.
was a great
I
experience.
cannot
that
wait
we
to
can't wait for
continue
next
more.
year
I
because
can't
we
wait
just
for
know
next
it's going to
year.
be that much better.
Exactly.
and-
To
yeah.
think this is what we have and we win the award, I can't wait for next
Right?
year. I can't wait. I'm guaranteed
It ups-
15 million over
It
there.
makes you want to just up it, you
Right,
know, like just
right.
make it better and just continue to work harder and just
I
like,
agree.
have a voice.
Have a
It's awesome.
having that voice and the fact that people actually listen and the nomination, confirmed. The actual award is just like awesome.
Right.
That was more than confirmation. So I'm very happy about that.
I'm glad.
But let's go. Today is a juicy conversation. We're going to be talking about exes. Are they friend or are they foe? Make sure you make sure, guys. The whole point is also including you guys. So call in with your opinion.
This one's a lot about opinion and just your
That's
perspective
it.
on
What
you know?
you think. Make sure you give
Yeah.
us a call. Look at the number on below, 813-639-8255. We will definitely take your questions or opinions in regards to this.
Right.
So let's go ahead and go right in. Everyone asks, what is an ex? It's really
Pretty
simple.
much everyone knows what it is, but let's define
But
it.
let's define it. I mean, it can be defined as an ex-lover, husband or wife, ex-boyfriend or girlfriend,
Friend,
ex-partner,
partner,
pretty much
someone
overall
you were
anyone that
involved
you went
with romantically.
That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really simple. It's just someone that you were involved with romantically, short-term, long-term. There's really no saying how long.
Right.
You were just involved with them and, at that moment and, you spent some time with them. So, exes can be, that's that gray area.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some people feel love for their exes for what reason, but in my opinion, they're an ex for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're not an ex because they were there to support you in whatever decisions you wanted to make. They're not an ex because, they want to be there. They're an ex for a reason.
They are. For the most part, my personal opinion
Right.
is that an ex should remain in the past and not be involved in your future.
Right.
However, there could be certain circumstances
They're-
that can lead you to where you guys were amazing as friends,
Right.
but not really as lovers.
Right.
So maybe at that point you could consider keeping that friendship there. But if there's still a gray line, then you
Big
just
key
need
is
to
consider
keep it
because
moving.
you have to not only consider yourself, but your
Right.
future and who you're going to want to bring into your life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
and have that respect.
And have that respect. Now, and everyone asks, but how do you know when someone can possibly is going to become an ex? You know what I mean? What
What are the
signs do I
signs to
look
look
for?
for?
What what are the signs to look for? I always tend to look at as, the distance. You start noticing people becoming distant. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? The biggest thing I notice when an ex was become an ex is when I start getting blamed for things. I start getting accused for things.
There's more negative disagreements
Right.
going on than there are positive and together moments.
And that's the thing. It's like, when you're an ex, when you're sitting back and saying, oh, well, this is my comfort zone.
Right.
I'm only in this because this is just easy.
Mm-hmm.
When you start realizing that things you feel like they're easier, but you're always having negative thoughts about
Right.
it. You're always having to discuss something with your friend, always having to, bring. It's like, that's the thing is, you have to really, really admit to yourself. You know what I mean? You
have to be
sometimes know.
honest.
You have to be
You have
honest.
to be
Because you
honest
sometimes
with
know, in my
yourself.
opinion, when they're going to be an ex. It's just a matter of when is it going to be that appropriate time to
Right.
knock it off. You know what I mean? I understand, ultimately you're being considerate of the other person. You're trying to, take consideration of the other person's feelings and whatnot. But to me, the longer you drag out things,
Yeah.
the more feelings are going to become
The
hurt
thing
later.
is, truly, if you really think about it, they're not really your ex until you've cut them off
Right.
completely.
That's it. You're right. Because that's the thing. People are like,
The truth.
oh, this is my ex, this is my ex.
Yeah.
No, they're still involved.
still
You have to
involved.
see what
Yeah.
involvement you have with that ex
Yeah.
because you just never know. You know what I mean? And even when you do have that, and that's the thing, you get these signs and bam, now you're an ex. You all of a sudden, those signs that you got 6 months ago are valid.
Right.
And now the question is, how long do you now that you're an ex, how long do you have to deal with this ex? Like, what's that appropriate time?
It depends on the circumstances, right? For me, I was married and we have a child together.
Right.
So we're always going to have to keep a level of communication.
Right. And that makes sense.
A level of friendship together.
That makes sense.
Because we have a common denominator.
Right. You have something that's going to always keep you guys together.
So
now, the thing is, you don't have to be friends. It's just a matter of making sure that you keep that bond and that you stay cordial enough to support that child that you guys have together.
Right.
You don't have to be friends. I don't have to, call you every 10 minutes to find out something. You know what I mean? As long as you keep that relationship open, the communication
then that's
open.
Where it separates the line between being friends and being friendly.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
It's being cordial.
Keyword, being cordial, taking those appropriate steps to make sure that it is appropriate. I think a lot of times what tends to happen is when people break up, they're automatically wanting to be friends with benefits. I automatically
sometimes. Or they lead into that, because it's like you can't just cut
it off.
That cord. It's like this connection that you have between that person, and cutting that just instantaneously is hard.
Right, and I get it, because it is. I'm not saying that I've never had an ex. Of course, we all have, and I'm not saying that I've walked out on an ex like that.
Right.
We all, there's that time that you have to
give yourself. And there are some people
yourself.
that can do that, and I commend you 100% for being able to do that.
There are people that can do that. That can just cut off and move on, and they're about sometimes if it's not the next best thing, they're just on for their life and their
it's all
interest.
about me and what I'm working on and what I got to do.
Again, whatever it is that you do that works for you, make sure you give us that call, 813-639-8255.
We want to hear from you.
But again, that's the thing. It's like, do you feel, because some people don't and some people do you feel that it's necessary to become that friends with benefit?
See, for me, me and my ex were together for 15 years.
Right.
I've known him since the time I was 14 years old, and I was with him from the time I was 14 till 29 years old.
Right.
So I could have easily have said, dude, this is my best friend.
Right.
We've known each other
took
forever,
that step. Right.
And I never ever want to let him go as a best friend. But I knew that wasn't healthy.
Right. It wasn't going to be good. Right.
For him, for anyone.
For
it
your
wasn't
future.
healthy. We just needed to maintain a friendship that was friendly so that we can get through the situation with our daughter and everything like that. So it's just a matter of finding what is going to work for you and what's going to be healthy for you.
Correct. Healthy is key.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel if you guys would have not had that child, you've known him for 15 years, would there have still been some form of connection there?
And don't get me wrong, that's the thing too. We didn't just one day break up and then that was the end of it.
Of course.
It dragged out for some time.
And it is.
So it just can't be 100%.
And it's not, because they normally even say, I remember reading something at one point, and even personal experiences, being in long-term relationships, you in my opinion, you can't just jump up and walk out. That would show that you truly had no commitment there. I'm not saying drag it on, but you can't just walk out. If you walk out, that was too easy. There was really nothing ever there that was holding you back. You were ready, you had made that decision already, and it was just that confirmation that you got to say no. Because from what I hear from my experiences, to me, I always take it, for every year, there's that 1 to 3 month time period.
Right.
If you were together for 2 years, it's at least going to take you 2 to 6 months to kind of separate yourself. It is going to take that time. Again, we're not saying that you're going to wake up.
It also depends on, do you live together?
Right. Oh, that's the big one.
You can't just be okay, we're done.
Now, but that's the thing. It's okay, I get it. You brought up a really good topic. You live together. Now, should you continue living together? That's the whole point.
And a lot of people have
plan it. A lot of people have to, but I feel like there's always arrangements you can make.
Yeah.
For some time. But, then there's also those that just want to keep it going that way. How is that?
Well, let's be real, right? We live in Florida.
Right.
A lot of people who live in Florida are from somewhere else.
Of course.
So they're here with their partner. They've been living here for their partner for some time. They can't just break up and then the next day be living somewhere else because they don't have that home to go back to, or they don't have that family nearby or whatever. So it's going to take some time to
30 days
out, find some. That's the whole point.
Get out.
Because you don't want to stay.
I get it. That's the thing. It's but you have to set that standard. You have to set it, because what ends up happening is some people don't take it as serious.
Right.
So they're thinking, I'm fine. We're living here. And then it's that, then you have to explain that situation. We're not together, but we're living together.
Right.
How long can you really keep that living together part going on?
And I'll tell you, I know someone who is currently going through a breakup and is still living in the same household.
Right.
And it's chaotic. It's not that
It's not healthy.
It's not that they don't want
It's
to.
not healthy.
It's not that they want to stay in the same place. They're both looking for somewhere else to go or whatnot, or one is going to stay and one is going to go. But it's a little bit chaotic because at this point you don't get along. You don't want to be together. You don't get along.
Right.
And it's not that simple to just find somewhere to go. Or
And
just pick
it's true.
anywhere to go.
I get it. Now, do you how long have their breakup has been lasting at this point? Do you know?
I don't know exact time frame, but it's been like a month, a little
been
over
a while.
month or whatever.
Okay. So
But
I mean, it's still in the early parts.
It's the transition stage.
And again, we're not saying definitely. Again, we know it's not going to be get up and go. But again, it's setting those standards. You have to at least have
But
that
if you
talk.
have the possibility to get up and go,
Do it.
Get up
Obviously,
and go.
it's only going to better you because trust
Get
me,
up
the
and
issue
go.
is sometimes you do still want to be together, and sometimes you feel like, oh, maybe we can make it work out.
Right.
Sometimes that's actually making a scenario a lot
worse. Right? Maybe
because
you
you're
need to
coming
step
back
away.
and you're bickering,
Yeah.
and then you're fighting,
Yeah.
and then now one person's jealous about this, one person's jealous about that. Oh, you still want to be friends, but I want to be your friend, but who's this boy on your Facebook?
Or I don't
That
want to
just
be your
starts
friend,
getting
but the
too
moment
messy.
you hear
And
that
then-
might be talking to somebody else, jealousy kicks in.
Jealousy kicks in, and we all know how people feel when they're jealous.
Right.
You know, that's when you have to set those standards because, you know, at the end of the day, you both have to respect each other. It's not going to be a one-way street. It's not going to be, oh yeah, we're not together, but we're so happy. But then when he sees something, he's so mad at it. No, you have to decide if he's still feeling some kind of way or she's still feeling some kind of way. Set those boundaries. You know what I mean? Either cut it or go together because it's not going to be healthy for you guys to still be trying to be friends, but always bickering about ridiculous things going back and forth and whatnot.
And the thing is that we're all human.
Right, of course.
So at the end of the day, do we want to come home and argue? No.
Right. No.
We don't want to.
But who wants
will
to
it
go
happen?
home? Will it happen? Who wants to go home and know that's what's gonna happen?
Oh no.
That's when you notice you don't. That's when you
Right.
start noticing these are the type of people that don't want to go home.
Right.
That want to stay at work longer.
Right.
That want to
They're
take
finding
that
things
walk.
to do,
That finding
and
things to
they're-
do. You know, and that's when you. And that's another scenario when you are in the midst of breaking up. And you start, you know, not wanting to be there. You start limiting your time at home. You try to avoid going home. You know there's issues at home. You know what I mean? And those are when you really have to start nicking those issues in the butt.
Right.
Because if not, I guarantee you they're going to
And
get better.
sometimes there is no nixing it. It's
Sometimes-
just a matter of you need to separate.
Right.
You
You need
can't
to
be in each
have an
other's
action
space.
plan.
You can't be in each other's space anymore.
Right.
It's time to move on. And who knows? There's a possibility that it could come back together.
It could.
But right now, it's too tumultuous
Right.
to stay.
Same thing. I know a friend who actually had the same experience. They were married for about 10 or 15 years. Won't say their name, but I love her to life. Love her husband to life.
Right.
Married for 10, 15 years.
needed that
Separation
space.
happened. It happened. They went buck wild. You know what I mean? A couple years later, maybe just 2 years later, they actually back together.
Right.
You know, ready to renew
And
their
stronger
vows.
than ever.
And stronger
Yeah.
than ever. They needed that. I'm not saying everybody go out there and do that by all
Right.
means.
And it
but
doesn't
they
mean that
realized
that's
that
what
they
you need
needed
to
it.
come back
no, of
together.
course not. And that doesn't mean you have to come
Right.
back together. But they realized, you know what? This was the best thing to do. Let's go ahead and do it. Now, what happened was in the beginning of it, they were trying to be BFFs. It wasn't. It was a bad idea.
Right.
You know what I mean? They needed that space. Once they finally gave that space to each other, that reconnection happened by itself.
Right.
You know what I mean? It happened by itself, and they let it be. But you know, that's one of those other questions: is how do you need to be friends? Do you want to be BFFs? Some people say yes. Some people say no.
I think you got to listen to your inner voice.
Right.
Okay? Because I can only tell you from my experience when my marriage fell apart, we tried to be friends
Right.
and we tried to be the best friends that we had been for 15
Right.
years. However, he would say things to me and I was trying to act as a friend,
Right.
but they were hurting me.
Right. Of course.
So if
That's-
you feel
yes.
that it's hurting
Absolutely.
you, then you know that you're not supposed to be friends right now.
And you know what
because
happens?
it's still too close to home.
It's too close. What happens
Yeah.
is this, and you said a key word. You try to be friends. So now you're trying to be cordial. The issue is you then start taking in information that you don't want to hear.
Don't want to hear.
But
You're
you
not
hear it
ready
because
for
now you're trying to be a friend.
Right.
You know, you're trying to be that friend you're trying to help
Right.
out. again, it starts getting messy. You start finding out things. You start, but we're friends, so now I can tell you these things.
Right.
No, you're not friends. You know what I mean? You were lovers at one point. You guys shared intimacy.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to know, even that time, or nobody wants to across your Facebook and see somebody, we had fun last night. Whether you didn't even do much.
There needs to be that time.
That time. You need to give yourself that time. Correct.
Before you can. And then there's some scenarios where you're never going to get over it.
No. You're never. Some people would never get over it.
Exactly. So it just depends on what kind of person you are. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to hurt yourself just to be a friend to that person and not to cut ties completely with that person.
Because that's the thing. You try to hold on. Listen to yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're going home crying and it's not, I guarantee you, because of the relationship's hurting. It's because of what you may found out. It's because of some of the information that's coming upon you more and things that you're finding out and looking for. Because that's also the thing is you start looking for things. That's the thing is, when you're not broken up, they feel like, they're not privileged now to certain information because we're not broken up. Right. Now you start looking for certain things and you start finding things. You know what I mean? One always says, when you look, you will find. You know what I mean? That's the issue. When you look, it's because you have a reason to find something. Something has given you that gist that you're like, I know I'm going to find something. Sometimes put it down. Right. Sometimes you just need to put it down. Because, you're digging yourself into that feeling and that emotion that you don't want to be in, but you feel like that's what you need to find. Let it,
and that's what it comes down to. Just love yourself first.
Right. Big time.
And by loving yourself first, say to yourself, what can I take?
Right.
And follow your own rules and what you need for your own sanity, for your own health, and for the love that you have for yourself.
Right.
It sounds really like,
it's
lovey-dovey,
no, it's
psychological
true, though.
stuff, but it's the truth, You have to take care of yourself.
One thing I learned in relationships, and it was so funny because I would talk to people who are trying to get through their breakup, who are trying to get through this. And I would say it to everyone who's listening and take it for how you want to. One thing I said is this is a time where you're going to become more selfish.
Right.
And, and people will be like, well, what do you mean because this is a time when you have to look out for your better interest. As bad as it sounds, because sometimes people are just so, friendly and so wanting to consider everyone else's feelings and wanting to think about everyone else's emotions. This is a time where you have to be selfish and think about yourself.
Right.
This is the best time to refine yourself too.
Right.
Go do things that you enjoy doing
for yourself.
And some people lose themselves in relationships. Right. So this is a time where you got to go and find out what foods you like again. Find out how you like your eggs cooked.
Right.
Find out whether you like cheese or no cheese.
What do you like?
What do you want?
What do you want in life?
Because
what
happens is, when you're so caught up in a relationship, you start building things and doing things for one another. You lose yourself a little bit.
You're
becoming one.
And now you need to become just you.
And it's just you. And it's hard. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not even saying when it's truly time that it's time to, because it's time to let go.
Right.
When it's time to let go, as hard as it may be, if you want to save yourself some tears and some frustration and some getting out of the comfort zone, let it go. Right. But think about yourself. You know what I mean? Also, you have to sometimes think like, what are they doing? Are they also sitting on a couch moping away, crying, doing all of this? I can guarantee you the response is going to be no.
Right.
I can guarantee you the response is going to be no. That's why now you have to think selfish a little bit.
Right.
And I don't mean you're going to be thinking selfish for the rest of the time. Of course not. You're going to always be considerate of yourself. Of other people's feelings and whatnot. That's just your personality.
Right.
But you have to think about yourself.
Yeah.
Be selfish, even if it's just for a little bit. Because at this point, the issue is sometimes as you become so vulnerable, you end up throwing off that you're desperate.
Right.
People pick up on that.
And you just need to use that time on yourself so that you can get over it, you can heal, you can grow, and you can move on.
Right.
But let's think about it the other way around, Joe.
Right.
Let's think about it when you're in a relationship with someone who wants to be friends with an ex.
Right. And that's the hard one.
Right.
Absolutely. Because there's those boundaries you don't want to cross.
Right.
And it happens all the time.
But how do you feel as that person who's in a relationship with somebody?
Right.
And they have a very close friendship with an ex. Do you get jealous? Do you say absolutely not? Do you put your foot down? Do you accept it?
And that's the thing.
What do you do?
That's the thing. If in the beginning of the relationship, if this was communicated to you and you accepted it, then you have to follow through the rest of it.
You have to follow through unless
Unless it's disrespecting.
Right, unless it starts to cross some lines.
And unless it starts becoming part of your relationship. Because that's the thing. Even if you're best friends with them, you have to separate that friendship. You have to separate your friends and your relationship.
Only because there has been a romantic
of course.
involvement
They know what
there.
they know what you shared already.
Because that has been there, there's messy
that's why
gray
that's why there's
there,
that
because
messy
there's
gray
been
line.
that.
You know, and it takes a strong person to accept it.
Right.
Because it's not easy.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's very hard. It's not easy. Mm-hmm. But when you come to those situations, again, you have to be real with yourself.
Right.
You can't force yourself to, fall or be in love or, do this with somebody else when ultimately you're not being true to yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're going to only take yourself down.
Who's in a new relationship and then has that friendship with the ex, are you being selfish? Do you think?
Say it again?
If you're the person in the middle who has a new relationship,
and you're friends with the ex,
you're still keeping the friendship with the ex, are you being selfish?
You could potentially be selfish. It can be taken in two different ways because to me, sometimes, you're trying to mix two different interests together. You have a new interest and you have an old interest. Right. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. You have to look, when you're trying to get involved with something new, you have to look at the interests of yourself, but for the other person as well. Right. I think what ends up happening is a lot of times people are trying to force their ex and then their friends to be friends. You know what I mean? They're trying to force these two to be together.
Right.
It becomes unhealthy because one person, even both of them may try, but there might be still that slight jealousy like, oh, well, girl or boy, I've had him before. You know, and the other person's like, well, I got them now. And then it's going to be whole
But do you bring them together or do you keep them separate?
I think, that's the thing. Of course, you have to separate them. At one point, if you feel this person is so close to you that you have to bring them to your relationship, you have to bring them in a very smart and logistic way. I don't mean they have to hang out and things like that. In my opinion, as long as they may have been introduced once and they know of each other, then that's fine. But again, it gets messy.
So
I wouldn't want to be in that situation.
I wouldn't want to be in that situation.
I wouldn't want to be in that situation. Again, praise to those who are.
Is it only right if you hang out in a group setting, or is it only right? Like, does it
and that's where
kept separate, or what's the line there?
That it is. Where is that thin line?
Right.
Because it is a very thin line. How when you now want to go hang out with your possibly best friend that you were intimate with a few years ago, how does it make that other person feel? You know what I mean? That's where sometimes you have to realize, like, do I have to eventually let that ex potentially go? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I have to let it go?
Personally, my opinion is if the new person I'm involved with is very important to me, and I see potential and I see the future with them, and anything makes them uncomfortable, especially an ex, not a friend, but if an ex, someone I've been intimate with before, someone I shared a part of my life with, if that makes them uncomfortable, then I'm looking towards the future, not the past.
You're looking towards the future, and you want to fix it. That's the thing. You can't be oblivious to a lot of the things. A lot of us, including myself, we want to make everybody happy.
Right.
You know what I mean? We want to make everyone around us happy because we know how happy we are, that we want to share our happiness. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you have to look up at the better interests of yourself.
And guys, I know a situation like this. So, my opinion is, be careful what you choose. Like, keeping that relationship with that ex is really iffy because who's to say that person gets into a relationship tomorrow and doesn't drop you because their new person felt uncomfortable. And now you sabotaged your new relationship because you chose to keep the old one.
Yep. And they didn't do it for you.
But then when they got into that relationship, they dropped you
like a penny,
like
nothing. See, and that's where there's a very thin line. You know what I mean? That's why it's, friend or foe. Are they truly your friend or are they truly just your enemy? You know what I mean? And I don't mean to, call out that all exes are enemy, but, you always have to see who has the better interest. You know what I mean? Because exes do not, as much as they want to stick around, they typically do not have the better interest. That's why they're an ex.
To me, I'm really open-minded about so many things. And then there's some things that are just real old school. An ex is an ex for a reason. They should be kept in the past. There are certain circumstances like parenthood that will keep you guys together forever. And that's just the way it is. So you keep a friendly and cordial relationship. And I think it's beautiful when exes have a good relationship just for their kids, because that's ultimately what you want to raise your
I think that
child
should be
in.
one of the only reasons, in my opinion.
Exactly.
That should be one of the only reasons why you should still have some form of communication and relationship with the next, is if you do have a child involved. Because obviously you want to be responsible for that child. You want to make responsible decisions.
And you want to grow, you want to raise them in...
You want to raise them in the best atmosphere.
In a loving environment where no one is fighting. Everyone gets along. Mom, dad love each other, and... They're not together. They weren't meant to be together, but they care about each other. They love each other, and they love you more than anything.
That's it. Because big thing is, you know, with marriages, with relationships, when you ultimately hit that X point, that doesn't mean you are terrible people.
No,
you just weren't right for each other. A lot of people think, they're so bad and they're so this. No. One thing I say about a lot of my exes is they were great people. They had the best interest up for what they were interested in. We just weren't meant for each other.
Meant for each other.
That's
we didn't meet at the right time.
You know what I mean? That always, and that's very true. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing. A lot of people then want to try to down talk their ex, throw their names, bash them and all this stuff. It's unnecessary because it's really bad all of a sudden when you do at least 3, 6, 9 or a year later to at least be cordial. And nothing's wrong with being cordial. Seeing a person down the street and at least acknowledging them is probably the best thing to do. Don't be nasty. You know what I mean? And that's the thing is a lot of people tend, they're my ex, you have to be nasty to them. No, you don't. You know, being cordial is the best thing. Unless they drag you under the bus and, you know, your name, then that's completely different. But if you ended it in good terms, whether you even ended it in bad terms and you decided to then still be cordial.
If you've grown and moved on, just be cordial.
Be cordial. You know what I mean? That's, I think, the best thing to do. It gets really messy when you try to involve, you know, the exes. It gets really messy when you even try to extend the relationship past to what it is. Because I guarantee you, ex-husband, ex-wife, it doesn't matter. There's really not that good friendship there. You know, as much as you want to say, we're so cool, we're friends, and at the end of the day, you're exes for a reason. You're not friends. You know what I mean? You were friends at one point. You communicated everything to you, but I guarantee you, there's going to be that time when you get so upset. You know what I mean? And if you're still bottling up for something that you're feeling some kind of way about and they're your ex, then you should not be involved. There's no reason you need to cry about an ex if they're your ex.
And most of the time, relationships don't end just
most
100% cordially.
Of course.
So there's going to be one person more hurt than the other.
Right, absolutely.
You know, there's going to be some kind of resentment still there. Eventually, over time, it goes away.
Of course.
But especially in the beginning, it's not going to be that way.
It's not.
So just give it its time and let it grow.
And that's the thing, too. A lot of people still try to force it. You know what I mean? When you do decide to separate yourself, they try to force to try to be back together. They try to force things that are not going to work out. You know what I mean?
Because they're comfortable.
Because they're comfortable.
That's what they're used to.
That's what it is, you know, once you break that comfort, you know, and that's where I mean that you have to be that. You have to be that selfish to yourself. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing is, I guarantee you, you know, just think about this. Because I took this experience one time. You know, you're breaking up right now. Let's say I just broke up. You're feeling devastated 3 months down the road, okay? Think about this. You keep yourself in that same scenario. Do you think you're going to feel better 3 months later? No. You're going to feel worse, okay? Now, again, you want to still be friends with that person. You want to still try to figure something out. Do you think it's going to get better 3 months down that road? No. You know what I mean? And again, who needs, maybe that 9th month you guys would have gotten back together, but you forced it for those whole 9 months. You forced something that should have not been.
It's just
it's powerful. It's powerful. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. It's forced. No one wants to be forced.
No one wants to be forced at all, and it's not a good thing. You should, you know, starting a relationship, ending one, nothing should be forced. You know what I mean? Ending it is not easy, but it's worse when you try to force someone to do something. Because I guarantee you, they may be doing it to satisfy you at that moment, but ultimately they're not going to do it for the better interest of you. Because when things decide to go down. Oh, it's down. That's it. Like it's a let go. I'm gonna drop it from here. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's the issue. Sometimes people don't understand. You know what I mean? One key thing that I strive is everything that approaches me. I try to understand it. There's too many whys.
Right.
Why is it happening to me? Why is this going on? If you're asking yourself all these whys, it's because you don't understand it. Stop asking yourself why for 5 days and try to figure out and understand why. Because to me, when people understand the issue, they can accept it better.
Right.
But when you keep asking yourself why, it's because you don't understand it or you don't want to accept it.
Accept it, right.
Accept it is key. Accept it is key. Once you accept something in life, you can move on from it. You can decide two things. You either can live with it or move on from it. But
Right.
that's the thing is, before you're accepting it, though, you have to understand it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes everything is not
And
understandable.
some things are not going to make sense.
That's
it's
what
just not.
Some things are not understandable. You may not understand why it's happening, but just accept the fact that it's happening.
Just accept
That's
it and give it its time.
Give it its
why
time.
there's that old saying, time heals all
Time.
wounds.
It does.
Because
And
it really
It really does. I cut
But
you right
let's
now.
move on to one other topic here, right?
What's up?
When you have an ex, do you move them into the friends with benefits category? Or, because that's what happens a lot. You
All
hear
the
this
time.
all the time.
All the time.
You move them because, you kind of still have that attraction. And before you know it, you go from being together to
Having
kind of having that
casual sex.
casual sex.
Like,
right?
and that's the
Is
thing
that healthy? Is that good? Can you keep it there? How long do you keep it there for?
and I say for the first month or two, it's going to happen. It's
Right.
natural. You know what I mean?
Right.
We all have that time where it's just, the sex is there already. Let's continue it.
Right.
But I get that's not making it any better.
No.
You're
That's
still
definitely not.
trying to involve those feelings. Sex, sex to some people is just sex. Bam, boom, that's fine. But if you've had some feelings with this person, sex is going to only make you feel more intimate. Sex is going to
Right.
only make you feel and give you that, I think I got them because we're still having sex. That, in my opinion, even if you want to go ahead and do what you do, sex is one of the first things you need to cut off.
Right.
Because that's the last thing you want to do is eventually start feeling like a booty call. Because that's what's going to end up happening is, you might be having sex and this and that, but then you start realizing these calls are coming in late. And it makes you feel good.
Say this. This is the better way to look at it. If you're both on the same page,
Right.
and that's all you're looking for from each other,
Right.
then it's all good, right? Because if you're both on the same page about it, or no, am I wrong?
I think you're right. I mean, I get what you're saying.
What if you say to yourself, okay, well, this wasn't working as a relationship, but we have great sex together.
This is not the one and only person you probably have great sex
Right.
with. You know what I mean?
That's true.
I'm not
That's
saying that
true.
you're going to now go search out there for someone who
Right.
you're going to have just as much great sex with.
Right.
But I guarantee you, this is not going to be the only person or has been the only person that gave you that climax that you've never had before.
True.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing is,
Very
that's
conservative of you,
that's
Joe.
right, I know, but it's true. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. So the whole thing is you. I'm not saying go out there and look through your black book and find that person that
Right.
you did do it with.
Yeah.
But that needs to be one of the first things that you separate. Because again, it starts getting messy. A lot of
Right.
feelings
It
start
has
building
a lot
up
of potential
when you
for
still.
getting messy.
Of course,
Yeah.
it has a lot because one person may feel again it's just sex. One person may
They feel that you're
it's
getting
more
back together
intimate. You know what I
and
mean?
you're
It
doing
gives
all
you that
that,
possibility for intimacy.
Right.
And also, one thing I even noticed too is
Mm-hmm.
when people start fooling themselves, because one thing I even realized when one of my past relationships is the fact that it was being entertained that we could have possibly been together. It was being entertained and this and that. Again, the other person on the other side was going out there and doing their business and all this other stuff. Once the minute they found out that I went on one simple date to go on lunch with somebody, it was hell break loose. I was almost gonna give you that chance. That does not feel
Right.
good.
Yeah.
You know how devastated I felt because I thought I screwed it up? Don't get me wrong. I eventually realized, oh no, like that wasn't me.
Right.
Like that was the other person. They were playing games because during this whole time when we thought we were going to try to work things out, they were doing their due. Again, the minute they found out that I was not even
Right.
doing my due, but went on a date for lunch, oh my God, it was all hell. It was looking like literally all hell break loose. Why would you even do that? I thought we were trying to work things out. One person will always see it differently than
Right.
the other because, of course, there's
'Cause
always
there's
two
two
sides to a
sides,
story.
there's different
We said it,
feelings
exactly.
on both ends.
And that's the thing is, that's again where it starts getting messy. You can't, you know what I mean? Like I said, and by all means, I'm not saying it's easy.
Well, that's going to be a good topic for us to just discuss friends with benefits at some point.
Absolutely.
Because at what point is that
Healthy.
a healthy situation for you?
And it all
Is
depends
ever
how it
healthy?
started too. Well,
How did it start?
How did it start?
develop into that realm? You know, like how did it go there?
Absolutely.
That's
And
gonna
I
be a
can
really
I
good
cannot
one for
wait
us.
to even talk
Yeah,
about that one.
that's
That
gonna be
one's
a good
definitely
one.
going to be one of those coming up topics.
Because
but yeah,
it's so
no.
common now too.
It's very common.
common.
And that's the thing is and when you some friends, people do have those friends with benefit and then try to make it more.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we're definitely going to be able to talk about that. But you know, that's the thing is, you know, sex, like you have to drop that first.
Right.
Because sex, when you have emotions already built,
It's
it's
too
only going to
intimate.
add more
It
emotion.
brings- it's just
gonna
a
keep
very
it there. It's not
intimate
gonna, you're not going to be
situation,
able to move on if you still have that sexual tension.
That connection
There's that
going.
connection there. You know what I mean? And that's the thing is, you know, I understand, like I was saying, it's going to be hard.
Right.
You know, breaking up can be one of the worst feelings, but one of the best things that ever happen at the long run. You know what I mean? That's the thing is you have to look at the long run.
It could be empowering or it
That's
can
what-
be devastating.
It's
And
gonna
the
start
point
devastating.
is that it can start off devastating and you need to take that moment to empower
Power
yourself,
Bam!
to love yourself.
Right.
Grow from it.
That's it.
Find out what you want.
That's it.
What you want in a relationship.
That's
what
it.
you want in life, and focus all that
Find out
energy
if you
that
want-
you were
if you like
focusing
ham or
into the
turkey.
relationship into
Right.
yourself.
Right. No, it's so true. I mean,
Right.
you could have not said it any better. Let's quote that. It was kind of long, but let's quote
Right.
that. All right. I just want to go ahead and say hi to my listeners live.
Hey.
What's up, listeners? But anyways, no, it's very true. You know what I mean? Like, that's the... Sex with exes could just,
Not happening.
No, it's not
No,
happening.
what we need
but what?
to do
How is
is
it? But,
focus on ourselves.
but how do you feel about, you know, what? Let's say, for example, you're in a new relationship you just started, and you get the call from that ex. What do? You know
Ignore
what I mean?
it.
I don't say ignore it.
Well, I mean, I don't always follow that rule, but
You know what I mean? Because
that's
that's,
what
the thing.
I always
When you ignore,
feel like I should have done.
of course, I get it. My best thing is this is the thing because sometimes that's where people feel like they're getting messy. What am I supposed to do? My ex just called. Be honest. Be real. If you're in a committed relationship, you need to let go of some of those things. Because
Right.
sometimes what ends up happening is some people hold on to their exes.
Well, don't
not in
your
a bad
ex-
way,
right.
but like they still have their number in their
Like a
in their
backup,
phone book.
like, you
As a
know,
backup,
right.
there's no such thing as a backup
Right.
if you're committed. You know, that's the thing. There's no more black book if you're at least committed. It doesn't
Right.
matter how long you feel these intentions are for. There's no black book. You know what I mean? So when that ex calls, don't ignore it.
Right.
Don't deny it. Pick up the phone. I probably picked up. I probably spoke, and I probably said, I proudly say, oh, I'm here with my boo. We're watching TV. What's up?
That's
you know what I
good,
mean?
Joe.
And that
I
was
like to
good.
hear
And
that.
it worked. And you know what I mean? And what happened? Oh, you know, great. I was just checking up on you, and I have not heard from that ex yet.
That's
till this day.
good. That's a good way to. You know
Because
what?
you know
I'm
what
gonna
happens?
take that route.
That's it. You know what? Because what ends up happening is you ignore that call. You're like, okay, it's nothing.
Let
then
that
it happens
person
a
know
month
you've
later.
moved on
That's
and you're
it.
happy.
That's what
Don't
it is.
come in
Don't
trying
come
to
in. That's it. And I'm
mess
not. And
things
that
up.
doesn't mean be nasty to
Right.
this ex. That doesn't mean
Right.
go out there and start bashing them
Right.
and now you have your partner in front of you and now you're gonna tell them all your terrible experiences. No, if it's a real relationship, trust me, your partner will respect you more because you didn't ignore that call, but you acknowledge that you have a
And you
great
acknowledge that new
relationship.
relationship
That's
and
what
that
it is.
you're
It's
happy
all
and
about
that you're good.
acknowledgement. You know what I mean? And now, don't get me wrong. At that moment, that person may feel some kind of way about that call. But if you have a true relationship, they're not gonna let go. You know what I mean? They're gonna hold on to what they hold on to because at the end of the day, they're gonna notice that you were real with them and you were real with yourself and you were real with your new relationship. Again, a lot of times, is people tend to ignore their exes, and then things get worse because all of a sudden they may have called you once today.
Well, it's not always bad to ignore because then they'll kind of just disappear and fade off
They
into
will,
the background.
but that's the thing is you
But,
don't let them
you
just
know.
don't let them just disappear voluntarily. Let it be known because trust me, it's gonna be more respect that you're gonna get in that relationship. It's gonna feel like you're not trying to
true.
hide anything. You know what I mean?
I
It's gonna
like that-
feel like
that point
you're
of
not
view,
trying
yeah.
to push it off to the side and not necessarily worry about it. That's my definite,
Right.
you know,
It is
recommendation
a true
for
sign
anything.
that you've completely moved on.
That's it.
If you
That's it.
acknowledge the new
That's
relationship
it.
and you just say, "Hey, I'm
I'm
happy
happy.
to hear from you.
Great.
I'm glad you're doing fine. I'm doing great.
I'm doing
in
great.
a great relationship.
What-
and I'm
what's
doing
your-
good.
You're single still? That is awesome. I'm in
yeah.
a relationship and I'm so much happier
Yeah.
right now. And I hope you got that same
Right.
vibe from your
And
relationship.
it's not coming off in a way like I'm trying to make you jealous.
Absolutely
it's just, hey, I'm
not.
happy.
Absolutely not. And then
I
guess
hope
what?
you're happy
Okay,
too.
great. Have a great day. And then that's it. You won't even hear. I guarantee you will not hear from that person because it's the thing. They're gonna respect you.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. If they start calling you back and disrespecting you, that's when you got to put your foot down.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when you got to show a little bit of attitude.
That's when they go
you know
into
what I mean?
the blocked list.
But most of the time, I guarantee you, they're going to see how happy you
Right.
are, how happy someone else has been able to make you. And if they're an ex, again, they're an ex for a reason,
Right.
but they see
Right.
how they appreciate that happiness that you're getting from somebody else.
Yep.
So important. I learned that, and I would never let that go.
Yeah, that's
because
very
it is
true.
it's a powerful thing that you can do to make that other side, that other partner feel more confident about it.
And not only that, but you're happy and you're proud of the new relationship
That's
that you're
it.
in. And when you're in love again,
You're
God, you want
oh
to
my
shout
God.
that out to the world. You
That's
want to let
it.
everyone know this is my
This-
man.
yes, I agree.
I love him,
Yes.
and we're happy. And it's not about trying to show up anyone or anything
Right.
like that. It's just being in love and being proud and being happy and being with
Being-
the person that
being-
you were meant to be with.
That's it.
So-
And that's the thing, you know what I mean, is one thing I always recommend when you do have that ex is don't rush into that next relationship.
Oh, no,
you know
take
what I
your
mean?
time.
Because when you rush into
Take
it,
your
I'll
time.
guarantee that's going to be that jump off. And for those who don't know jump off, just Google it. I guarantee you'll figure it out. You know what I mean? You don't want someone that could potentially been more to be a jump off.
Right.
Because I guarantee you, if you jump into a relationship after getting one and you jumped into it 3 months after breaking up, guys, that's your jump off.
Right.
So if you're prepared to make that person your jump off, then by all means, hey, everyone might have that jump off. But don't do it, because I guarantee you, all those emotions, all those feelings that are coming off from your past relationship that you just still haven't got
Right.
over are going to rub off on this
And
one.
you need to make sure that you're over all of those issues. You
Right.
can't
You have
punish
to.
the
No.
next person you're with for the mistakes that the person you were with before made.
Right. No.
To you.
'Cause
you know,
it's
if
gonna
you were
come off
cheated
wrong.
on, you can't go into this new relationship
Thinking you're going to get cheated on.
cheated on.
No.
Like, you can't do
No.
that.
No.
It's not fair to the
It's
new
not
person.
fair to them.
You know, so make sure you're over your issues before you move into the next relationship, because you want to give that person a clean slate.
You want to give them the benefit of the
Right.
doubt that's nothing ever happened.
You want to
One
give
thing-
it 100% trust.
100%.
and-
That's it. Because you want to be in
Yeah.
it. One thing I learned in new relationships is that whole, love like you've never loved before.
Mm-hmm.
Smile like you've never smiled before, and give it your all. Because when you do give it your all, that's when you notice you put your all into it. And if things don't happen to work out again, you know you were there.
Right.
You did what you can do. You know what I mean? But again, today's show, awesome. We didn't have any calls, but it was
Callers
a sensitive topic.
It was.
Exes is not the best thing for people to come out and talk about.
Right.
So I get it. You know what I mean? I'm actually more happier that we didn't have a caller try to bash their ex or try to speak what they didn't.
Right.
I'm glad that maybe today all the listeners were just listening.
Right.
Taking in what they can
Taking
take
in
in,
what they can.
maybe suggest
And
for
to
another ex.
understand,
And
too,
to
that
understand.
it's not ever going to be easy and a clean cut.
No.
It's always going to be complicated.
It's gonna be
Because
complicated.
you've shared so many experiences together. Some of you have kids together, some of you don't.
Right.
It's going to take moments of where you were really cool and then really bad and then you went back to being cool,
Right.
and it just keeps going back and forth. Or it was a clean slate and it was awesome.
Right.
Who knows what your situation
but
was.
definitely,
But-
again, thank you guys all for listening tonight.
Yes.
Tonight was a great show. I know we definitely give some great advice that somebody out there
And
is going to be
hopefully it
able to
touched
pass
someone
on.
and take
And
it
we're
on,
definitely
yeah.
hopefully, it touched somebody. You were able to learn from it. But guys, make sure you keep tuning in every single Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30. We all love you. Much love and good night.
Good night.
This program was brought to you by the Internet Broadcasting Organization, setting the standard for new media broadcasting.